Hi, I'm Claire Stasel,
And I'm Morgan McKean.
and today we're going to talk about sport and media.
The first website that we will cover today in our video is ESPN, and you can find this at espn.com. When you go onto the site, this is immediately what you see. It's their main page. ESPN is marketed as the worldwide leader in sports. It is an American sports media conglomerate and trusted resource for sports fans. The site's main page is loaded with information and stories about athletes and sports. Live and previous game scores are at the very top of the page, and there is a customized ESPN web feature so the user can alter the page to see the content they are interested in. There are 54 stories on the main page. 52 of them are of men's sports and only 2 are of women's. The site is very much male-centered, meaning men's lives are the expected focus and attention, and there are fewer stories about women's athletes. The photos on the site feature men in action. This portrays dominant, aggressive male stereotypes. With such limited representation of women, this site promotes the idea that sports are just for the aggressive male.
And so that leaves us asking, if ESPN is one of the worldwide leaders in sport, what does that say about what we value as a society?
Next, we have ESPNW, found at espn.com/ESPNW. This is the main page when you log on, and you can see that it looks much different than the main ESPN site, but this is what we've got for the women. ESPNW is a subsection of ESPN. The goal of the site is to feature women and their place in sport. The site features the same top stories as a male-centered ESPN page. The top navigation bar lists sports, voices, life/style, and culture, unlike ESPN.com. The existence of this site shows that women's sports are ghettoized. That is, they are separate from the mainstream to not become a major threat to the hegemonic ideology. The media's attempt to celebrate women is actually oppressing them, as it is seen that there's only a 3.7% representation of women on the mainstream ESPN site. One thing that we also notice is the navigation bar, which includes very different topics than the male-centered ESPN site, like voices, life/style, and culture. These all draw attention away from the women's sport, maybe in an attempt to disguise a lack of coverage, which is supposed to be the main purpose of the website. All of these stories could be integrated on the ESPN site, but are not, which shows that the media is presenting sports as male-identified, meaning sports revolve around men and manhood, and female sports have to be identified explicitly and separately. The photos of women on the site are mostly non-action shots and even women out of uniform. This contrast between the way men and women are presented on these sites promotes the idea that women are not taken as serious athletes.
So that leaves us to question, is it helping or hurting women's sports to have a site separate from men's sport news? And the next site we're going to talk about is NBC Sports, and you can find that at nbcsports.com. So this is the main page when you log on, and we're going to go into a little bit of analysis about that. So NBC Sports is the programming division of NBC and is responsible for sports broadcasts on the network and national sports cable channels. The site shows top stories about sports outside of the top 3, but still no women are represented. The upcoming events section on the left-hand side features men's and women's sports in chronological order. The simplicity and straightforwardness of the site highlights the sportainment involved. That is, the media's construction of sports and readers' experiences, and it's done so well that the audience assumes what is presented is true and complete. There are simple features on the site that lead the reader to think that what is seen is all there is to consume. For example, the live and previous game scores feature only offers MLB, golf, NFL, NASCAR, and college football, which are all male-dominated sports and leagues. It's dangerous to let sportainment wash over a broadcasting network's website because it leaves the audience poorly informed. So that leads us to question, how do we get successful male-centered media outlets like NBC and ESPN to integrate coverage of women's sports into mainstream media?
Thank you for listening to our analysis of sport and media.